In segment 3, Chief Dunne covers his 5 essential factors for incident commanders, factors that affect the incident commander, tips for fire service leaders, and his fail-forward model. Chief Dunne transitioned from size up to 5 essential factors he feels are vital to thinking like an incident commander. The first is willingness to accept the responsibility. As a firefighter or company officer, if you are suddenly thrust into the position of the first arriving incident commander, you must accept the fact you are no longer functioning only in your assigned position. If you arrive on an incident scene and you are assigned to the position within the incident management system, outside your normally assigned position or duties, you must accept the ramifications of your tactical assignment and ensure that what you are about to do and the decisions you will make will not adversely affect someone else. The second factor is the ability to envision the big picture. When operating in an incident, firefighters, company officers, and chief officers must avoid myopia and force themselves to see the big picture when managing their individual operations. The third factor is the capacity for obtaining detailed information. It is seldom possible at the very beginning of an operation for firefighters or officers to have all the pertinent information in order to effect a positive outcome. Often there is a great deal of initial activity by first arriving companies, and the incident commander can be hampered with an overload of information. 4 specific questions can assist the incident commander. Who is on scene and what is their assignment? Where are they at in relation to the incident? Is water being put on the fire? And do crews have a way out of the hazard zone should the incident become untenable? The fourth factor is the ability to organize. From the onset of any incident, organizing resources is very important. Once an incident moves past a single company event, the incident commander should identify the hazard zone, develop the incident action plan, set a staging area, and determine the best location for command. Begin breaking the incident into manageable sectors and delegating command activities will assist the incident commander in managing the incident. The fifth and final factor is the ability to calm a stressful situation. Firefighters, company officers, and chief officers can be positively affected by an incident commander who acts with a calming influence. The person who can take responsibility, maintain an overall perspective, organize the incident, and obtain the needed specified information to manage an incident will still have a difficult time if he or she comes across an indecisive, erratic, or confused person during a face-to-face interaction or while giving commands across a tactical channel. Clear and confident communication is the most effective tool in calming down a situation. Firefighters, company officers, and chief officers must force themselves to project a controlled, optimistic tone as they speak, and even if the stress and chaos keep them from feeling confident. A little acting may be called for. Each may have to slow down and force themselves to speak in positive, relaxed tones when communicating plans or issuing orders. Chief Dunne went on to speak about factors that can affect an incident commander's ability to make decisions that positively affect the fireground. Goal sacrifice. On the fireground, there are generally more problems than adequate resources, which requires responders to prioritize their actions. Some problems will have to wait to be addressed. The toughest decision is often whether to fight the fire or begin rescue operations. Chief Dunne suggests that water solves most problems on the fireground. Keeping track of time. Chief Dunne discussed how time can be deceptive to an incident commander. The time tasks take to be accomplished on the fireground is amplified within the incident command post. Tracking time is important to ensure the companies aren't overexerted, they don't push themselves past their 33% air reserve air supply, and activate their SCBA end of service time indicator, and in our case, our Scott Vibra alert. He advised that the longer we are operating on the fireground, the more resources and personnel we will need. Remembering our firefighting crews can only work so long without a break. Time is also important when we apply water to a structure. Over time, that water has an effect on the structure in the form of weight and structural damage. Command presence. Chief Dunne discussed his transition from company officer to a chief officer and how he was nervous about operating on the scene as an incident commander. He suggested several tips to having a good command presence. Project confidence, whether it's cool and calm presence on the radio or a calming persona when communicating face-to-face. You can be stressed and unconfident on the inside, but you must be confident on the outside. Another tip Chief Dunne suggests is to borrow the confidence and interpersonal skills from other officers and incident commanders which you've worked with or have experience with, what he calls the imposter syndrome. Detachment from the incident. Do your best to be physically, emotionally, and psychologically detached from the incident. Communicate with a purpose. When issuing orders face-to-face, be blunt and to the point. When using mobile or portable radios, communicate with control and repeat transmissions so the sender knows you received and understood their transmission. Incident communications are no place for jokes, innuendos, or anything other than tactical communications. Tailor your message for the receiver, ask direct questions and give direct answers, and avoid long or misleading questions. Stress. Stress not only affects the person in the stressful situation, but also influences those around him or her. A responder who projects confidence and calm is a positive influence on the fireground. Chief Dunne says just to be around this person makes you feel like everything is going to be okay. Stress also affects fireground communications, which is an important element in the operation. To deal with stress, he says, you must first acknowledge it, calm yourself, and ask for assistance and delegate duties as needed. Finally, Chief Dunne recommends when you go home after your shift, turn the job off so you can enjoy time with your family and friends. Chief Dunne gave some tips to both seasoned incident commanders and those firefighters and company officers who are interested in moving up within their organization and want the challenge of incident command work. Incident command decisions are either planned through training and incident action plan standard operating guidelines and tactical worksheets, or through intuitive thinking and based on the experience that fire officer has on an incident of a similar type and magnitude. The incident commander is expected to devise an incident action plan, implement strategies, assign tactical objectives to companies, and monitor the strategy until the incident is either successfully concluded or make strategic shifts until the incident stabilizes. Incident commanders should anticipate what potential problems can arise from the strategies developed by the incident action plan, act and make strategic and tactical decisions based on what they observed during operations, and evaluate the entire operation from start to finish visually and through company status or progress reports so that in the event of a strategic shift is needed, he or she has as much information as possible. As he was preparing to close the workshop, Chief Dunne referenced author John C. Maxwell and said he took Maxwell's writing in Failing Forward, Turning Mistakes into Stepping Stones for Success, and developed a fail-forward model he uses when he teaches firefighters and when he speaks about incident command leadership and responsibility. What I took from this discussion and his fail-forward model is that when an incident commander is strong in either knowledge or experience, or both, he or she can be successful in their charge duties and responsibilities. But when an incident commander's knowledge and or experience is out of balance, sometimes the incident commander fails to achieve success. Chief Dunne discussed failure and that when an incident commander makes mistakes or fails during an operation, it leads to growth, learning, and self-actualization for that person, and they are able to overcome similar obstacles in the future. So that said, an incident commander can use a failure on the fireground and develop a teaching moment, possibly preventing others from making that same mistake. We fail, we make mistakes, and we struggle, but if we have the mindset we can learn from these mistakes and failures, then we persevere and we get better. As he closed the workshop, Chief Dunne stated the art of thinking as an incident commander involves developing an appreciation of the strategy as well as a recognition of the necessary tactics. If we fail to envision an overall plan, we are likely to end up with the performance of a series of uncoordinated individual tasks rather than a successful outcome. He quotes the ancient Chinese general and philosophizer Sun Tzu stating, "Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat." Incident commanders are responsible for the overall supervision on the fireground. As such, they accept responsibility for decisions made, but also develop the overall strategy to bring the incident to a successful conclusion. But they are not the only ones who should be thinking like an incident commander. Chief Dunne's final thoughts were that he would like his students to walk away from the session better prepared to quickly evaluate hazards and plan overall strategy instead of just performing a series of unrelated individual tactical acts.